The Shark Deck.
Last week, a U.S. drone was forced down by a Russian fighter jet. Seth Meyers said Russia's ambassador to the U.S. denied that the two aircraft collided. Putin is claiming the drone just fell out a window. Dateline The Hague. I don't say that much. Trevor Noah, former host of The Daily Show, has won the prestigious Dutch Erasmus Prize. Congratulations, Trevor Noah. He's the first humorist to be awarded the honor since Charlie Chaplin back in 1965. And Hall of Famer Charlie Chaplin by 1965 was kind of past his prime, wasn't he? Chaplin was born in 89, and by 89 I mean 1889, so that rough math there, so he would have been, 76 or so when he won that award? You may have heard of the movie The Great Dictator starring Charlie Chaplin. That one was from 1940, so they got around to it 25 years later anyway. Trevor Noah, who's 39, received the prize for his inspired contribution to the theme In Praise of Folly. That theme was named after Dutch philosopher Desiderius Erasmus. Erasmus lived from 1466 to 1536, and his most famous book is called In Praise of Folly, and it's filled with humor, social criticism, and political satire. Kind of like this show, but much better done. Fox News on the scene in Austin, Texas, where Joe Rogan's new comedy club shows are a hot ticket on the resale market. Tickets are going for up to $900. Let me give you some advice here. Joe Rogan's awesome. I'm sure the comedy Mothership is awesome. I'm sure Dave Chappelle performing at Rogan's club is awesome. No comedy show's worth $900. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Per Fox News, attendees said there's a high demand for anti-woke and anti-cancel culture content. Brady came in from Arizona to see a show and said it just really speaks to the demand. People are hungry for something like this. Regan from Minnesota told Fox, you probably can't cancel it if people are paying that much money to get into it. Billy from Dallas added, people are against the woke culture that's going on. At a recent show, Joe Rogan himself introduced Dave Chappelle. Joe said, I'm about to bring up one of the greatest comedians to ever walk the face of the planet, one of my dear friends, one of my personal heroes in comedy. Please give it up for the great and powerful Dave Chappelle. That got a good reaction from the crowd. They erupted in cheers. Some fans also went on social media, presumably much later because Joe uses Yonder pouches. Again, $900 and I can't bring my phone? No. One fan said, the expression of the GOAT could not be more fitting than for Mr. Chappelle. I call him Mr. Chappelle because he has utmost respect and administration. That's what the person wrote. Another fan said of Joe Rogan, you're going to need a bigger ship if you're going to bring in guests like that. But my favorite comment was one fan who commented on Joe Rogan's dressing style. And right now, I'll tell you, I am wearing sweatpants. And this hoodie's not too bad. You wouldn't make fun of the hoodie. I have a pretty cool, if I say so myself, third-party Star Wars-themed sweatshirt where it's a Stormtrooper helmet over a skull and bones. So that's not awful. The sweatpants are a little cheesy, and these sneakers are kind of worn out. So you can make fun of me from the bottom down, I think, today. I think top, I got my game going. But one fan made fun of Joe Rogan's dressing style and said, Rogan will always dress like the 90s. You know what? I'm thinking about it. If Joe Rogan's mad at me for sharing that crack, I challenge you to an MMA fight, Joe. Anywhere you want, anytime you want. I will fight Joe Rogan in the octagon. Why? Can you think of better publicity for the podcast? Oh my God. Come on, Joe. Are you scared? David Byrne will do the music for John Mulaney's new Netflix comedy special. We now have a title for the special. It's called John Mulaney Baby J. It was recorded at Boston Symphony Hall in February. It'll be on your Netflix April 25th. Byrne and Mulaney have worked together before. David Byrne appeared in the Netflix children's special John Mulaney and the Sack Lunch Bunch. Remember that happened? Yes, back in December 2019. We also have a date for Pete Davidson's new sitcom Bupkis, this one on Peacock. So you're probably not going to see it. Nobody has Peacock. Peacock, drop some money on my show. I'm a shill. I will sell Peacock left and right all day. Come on, guys. It'll drop all 8 episodes on May 4th for subscribers of the streaming service. Similar to the King of Staten Island movie, Bupkis will be partially based on Pete Davidson. The series has compared to Curb Your Enthusiasm. No pressure there, Pete. Jeez. Nashville Scene caught up with Sarah Silverman. Hey, Sarah Silverman, you know your Sarah Silverman podcast? Has that served as an arena for you to practice stand-up material? Sarah Silverman said, a little bit, yeah. There's some stuff that I just said organically on the show, and then I was like, oh, I bet that's something. But not much, but definitely. There's a little crossover in the Venn diagram between the podcast and stand-up, but the podcast has become way more serious. They don't share a lot of DNA. I'm a lot more earnest on the podcast. Nashville Scene followed up, hey, you give a lot of advice on that podcast there. Has that helped you improve at giving advice to people in your own life? Sarah said, I think it has. And just because obnoxiously, I think so many people who really do therapy become therapists in their own mind, I'm no exception. But you learn so many lessons that are easy to pass on, and it's interesting. I mean, as a comedian, most comics are interested in what makes a dynamic between people. That's what therapy is. Another follow-up. Not to say you pretend to be a therapist on the podcast, but is that a direction you ever imagined it would go? Sarah said, no, not at all. I mean, I'm interested in that stuff. And I knew I wanted the audience's questions to kind of dictate the trajectory of the episodes, but it really became an advice show. And I will mostly preface things with, I'm completely talking out of my hat here, or I don't know stuff, but. I mean, it's a pretty good exchange of ideas, and you know what? I might give someone advice, and then somebody else calls in and says, actually, XYZ, and it becomes this kind of interesting community. Philadelphia Weekly caught up with Jeff Ross. Hey, Jeff Ross, because of your roaster's reputation, do you believe people are suspicious of meeting you? Dare they get burned? I like that question. Philly Weekly's comedy coverage, awesome. Great job, guys. And by guys, I mean A.D. Amorosi. He's the guys. Ross said, it's interesting. People assume that all the time and are leery of meeting me. I can't, however, promise you if you meet me in public, I come in peace. I'm off duty. I don't roast you, and I definitely don't want you roasting me. Wait, is Jeff Ross sensitive? Are the topics we shouldn't do? Jeff joked, my looks. I'm very sensitive about my appearance. I'm just putting that out there. I'm kidding. I would be such a hypocrite if I put guidelines or guardrails on the insults I can take. I dish it out, I can take it. Even if it looks as if it hurts, I'm not going to let people see that. I feel like being able to take a joke is a very important part of life. They asked him his opinion on Whitney Cummings, bringing back old school roasts on OnlyFans. That's right, Johnny Mac, why are you in the basement with the door closed? What are you doing? I'm on OnlyFans watching a roast. What do you think I'm up to? Jeff Ross said, I went to a taping. I totally enjoyed it. It was thoroughly off the rails hilarious. It was a real punk rock roast. I love roasting in all its forms. I love the OnlyFans joke. I'm cracking myself up. I want all my friends to do it. The bigger the roasting is, the better my life is. Then they talked about how they were both going to see Springsteen. Jeff Ross said, I'm seeing Bruce Springsteen at the same show you are, coming in early at the very generous invitation of little Steven Van Zandt. 2 straight days of Steven Van Zandt references on this podcast. Should I save a Steven story for tomorrow and make it 3? You'll find out tomorrow. Jeff said, I'm very excited. I have good friends in that band. Nils Lofgren, Max Weinberg, and I recently got my first tattoo. What does the tattoo say? Born to roast.
Welcome to How to Tickle Yourself. I'm your host, Duff McDonald.
And I'm your co-host, Matt McButter. We'll be talking to people who specialize in different ways of inhabiting their own consciousness, from artists to yoga teachers to scientists. We've even got a professional magician.
We're going to ask them questions like, what is consciousness? Why does it tickle? And what is magic anyway? Is it just card tricks, or is it the fact that your little speck of consciousness is part of a perfect possibility machine?
Find us wherever you get your podcasts and at storicmedia.com.
I've been doing a good job with the running lately. I've been running more days than not. I'm on a streak. I am a believer in The Power of the Streak, which is also, totally coincidentally, the name of a book by Kara Wood. That's right. The Power of the Streak is an easy-to-read book by Kara Wood that answers the age-old question of how to stay consistent with exercise and keep motivated over time. I have a streak going. Let's see. I'm trying to think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a 5-day streak going. Now, recently, I had snapped a streak because it didn't snow here all winter, and then March came, and March is like, hey, it's going to snow every Tuesday. So one day I shoveled, and then I was curious, does shoveling count as exercise? And Kara sent me the answer.
Hi, Johnny. It's Kara Wood. I just wanted to let you know that snow shoveling does not count. And I also want to let you know that I'm uniquely qualified to opine on this matter because I used to shovel a lot of snow when I lived in Idaho.
Well, you know who else is from Idaho? That's right, Ryan Hamilton. Everyone knows where Ryan Hamilton is from. I mean, do you think he's from Canada? What, are you stupid? If you struggle with working out regularly, I'm laughing at my own jokes today, or if you started exercising only to be back where you started in a couple of weeks, you need to check out The Power of the Streak. Seriously, I'm not looking at the copy now. I'm looking at my bottled water and bring a coffee. Streaks are awesome because you don't want to break the streak. And then you get negative streaks. I had a negative streak of like 3-4 days recently, I think after the snow, because I worked out in 2 days. I might as well make it 3, I might as well make it 4. But once I get going, I don't want to snap the streak at all. Kara herself had zero motivation. So Kara has a 12-year streak going. She had kids and a career, and she keeps it going. So if you want to hear the story, get yourself motivated. It's funny, it's relatable, it's inspiring. She'll give you a step-by-step guide how you can do this with any exercise. Doesn't have to be running. I'm a bit of a running snob, okay? I also like Apple Fitness Plus spin classes. That's my other jam on the days my knees are a little achy. The book has a low-key, authentic, and relaxed style. It's also entertaining and motivating. Even a cynic will leave feeling inspired and excited to commit once and for all. A percentage of royalties is donated to the Special Olympics, so that's pretty cool. The Power of the Streak by Kara Wood, available in all formats on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online. Check out the audiobook on iTunes, Audible. Are you on Instagram? Of course you are, at The Power of the Streak. Or are you on Twitter? Maybe at Power of the Streak. Thank you to The Power of the Streak for sponsoring today's show. You heard the mention there, FTC. I flagged it. Yeah, there's rules and stuff. If you missed yesterday's podcast, go back and check it out. I had, quote, working comedian and podcaster Dan Bublitz, unquote, as my guest. I was just in the mood to talk about comedy, and I hit Dan up, and I'm like, you want to jump on Zoom? And he was like, yeah. We chatted for like an hour. I didn't do any prep. You didn't do any prep, Johnny Mac? No way. I know, right? But if you want to get into the weeds of like being at festivals or being a touring comic or what it's like to be on the road as a comic, we got pretty deep yesterday. It was pretty good. Tim Dillon has joined the cast of a horror movie coming up. The movie is titled Thanksgiving. Interesting casting there. I could see Tim playing, like Uncle Tim or something. Kind of a poor man's Chris Farley. I could see that, right? Yes. The plot for the film is being kept under wraps. Oh no, but the horror thriller stars Patrick Dempsey, that's right, Dr. McDreamy, and the ever-so-serious Hari Konabolu. He'll be doing a bunch of interviews soon. That should be fun, because he is ever-so-serious. As a comedian, I love him, but every interview with him, dude, lighten up. Stop taking the whole world so seriously. Hari Konabolu has a new special and album. It's called Vacation Baby. It'll be out April 18th, recorded live at the Bell House in Brooklyn. Hari discusses the strange and unique experiences of having a kid during a global pandemic and filming a special about it just days after Roe v. Wade was overturned. Vacation Baby is both political and his most personal work to date. Hari keeps his trademark style of smart, cutting political humor with discussions of white replacement therapy and anti-Asian hate crimes while also remaining silly and light, with jokes about fatherhood, why Steph Curry is the GOAT, and how he once ghosted AOC. Vacation Baby, available April 18th. On YouTube, there will also be an album, like an actual album. Hopefully he wins the Grammy for it, because I'm done with things that aren't albums winning the comedy Grammy. Team Hari. Plus, I would love to hear his speech at the Grammys. It'll be so serious. That's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow. All right, here's the pitch. 5 stories. They're all good news. It's called 5 Good News Stories. No negative news, just good news. Nice, easy way to start your day. Hopefully a smile. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac, host of 5 Good News Stories. You get the premise? There's 5 stories, and they're all good news. It's the number 5 Good News Stories. 5 Good News Stories. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.